Hello, I'm Anna Dangerfield, and I'm the president of the Friends of Hopelands and Rye. Welcome to our annual meeting and the celebration of our 50th anniversary. As some of you know, in 1970, the city of Aiken accepted the winter estate of Hope Goddard Island. She called it Hopelands. And in 1971, the executor of her estate, Sidney Davison, suggested to then Mayor Odell Weeks to create a citizens group that could help raise funds to develop the gardens and also to assist the city. He partnered with James McNair and Julian Sally and Alfred Bissell. And Alfred Bissell was already in an organization that had a public-private partnership, so he was able to advise them. In March of 1971, the first meeting of the Friends of Hopelands was held. James McNair was elected the president, and the bylaws in place stated no more than 40 trustees, no fewer than 25. Topics discussed at the meeting were how to garner community support for this new organization and this new property. In 1981, the family of Dorothy Knox Goodyear Rogers gave her winter estate to the city of Aiken, and thus we became the Friends of Hopelands and Rye. And that's where I'm standing today in our beautiful winter home, and this is where we usually have the annual meeting of the Friends. Some of the earliest work of the Friends included replacing some of the walkways in Hopelands. Some were clay, some were asphalt. We also replaced the gates. The ones on Dupree were wooden, the ones on Berry were chain linked. So the Friends set to work and completed many different projects over the 50 years. Now let's hear from our current mayor, Rick Osborne, and our city manager, Stuart Biedenbow, as they discuss the early days.
It's hard to imagine the city of Aiken without beautiful Hopelands gardens. But you know, there was quite a debate whenever the Islam Foundation trustees proposed to the city that we take it over. Fortunate for us, those city leaders saw the wisdom and what a great vision, and had a vision for what a great property this could be. And now it certainly is a crown jewel within our city. So in the early days, it was actually a 3-4 vote to take it into the city. But Mayor Weeks recognized that no one would want to be remembered in history as voting against this property. So he asked the city clerk to show in the minutes that it was unanimous. And so when you look in our city minutes, it actually shows it was a unanimous vote for Hopeland Gardens. And that's how we're going to remember it for certain, because everyone deserves to have shown support for this wonderful property. So once we had the property, it required a little bit of work. It wasn't everything that it is today that we know and enjoy. The first gift was actually given by the Bureau of Outdoor Recreation. And there was a stipulation by the foundation that they hire Robert Marvin, who was an agricultural architect, to do the work. Well, he certainly had a great vision for this property, and what a great suggestion by the foundation. So as they moved forward, the first phase actually, as it was started, it was in 1974, and it was funded largely by a grant from Urban Beautification through HUD, and also a partnership which was money raised from the newly formed Friends of Hopelands and other organizations and people within our city. So that project was done, the first phase was done in January of 1974, and it was actually dedicated the third week of the Triple Crown, and it's become such a beautiful thing. So that summer was very interesting. In 1974, we had our first music series on Mondays, which citizens and visitors alike still enjoy today. What a great legacy has left us. So also in that summer, they had many weddings. People were wanting to use this new facility, and it became clear it was time to move into a phase 2. Phase 2 was a $60,000 phase, not counting the irrigation work and things that the city did in kind. And it included planting azaleas, camellias, which were donated by the Camellia Society of Aiken, and our garden clubs were very involved in that. And it became such a beautiful time. It was also when we introduced the goldfish into our ponds with the lilies. And it really, a lot of the things that we recognize about Hopelands Gardens were put in place with that phase 2. It became more like what we recognize, what we know. And phase 3 was where they worked on the ponds on the south side of the property. So it really was a collective coming together, and we are so grateful for those initial leaders. The Friends of Hopelands has always been such an integral part of maintaining and supporting and promoting Hopelands Gardens to our community. The first president was James McNair, who was a banker in Aiken, well known and such a strong supporter of events in properties like this, and what a vision he had. The vice president was Mayor Odell Weeks, and we already know Mayor Odell Weeks was committed to this project and did a great job and was on the leadership team with that. Notable attorney Julian Sally was the secretary, and Tom Maurice was the treasurer. So it was an incredible group. I could challenge any community to come up with people who loved a community more than these 4 individuals did. It's a wonderful time and a wonderful place, and that legacy lives on today. So as we look today and at the council and our city, and we recognize the beauty of Hopeland Gardens and what it really means and brings to our city so much. It's wonderful, and the partnership that has continued through that time, working with our city staff who treat it and love it so much. The tenderness that they treat this property with just shows through in the care that they give it. And the partnership with the Friends of Hopelands, they're amazing with what they do, with the promotion, with the helping us raise money to do projects that on our own we couldn't do. And it really is the beauty and the essence of what Aiken is. We're so thankful, and we appreciate so much what the Friends brings to us in this partnership, and we look forward to many, many years because we want Hopelands Gardens to be a legacy that we leave for our kids and grandkids also. Congratulations to the Gardens for being here and making it and being such a beautiful part of our city, and we look forward to many, many years. God bless. And now I would like to introduce to you our city manager, Mr. Stuart Beanbow, to tell you more details about the history of Hopelands.
Thank you, Mayor Osmond and Anna. Hopelands Gardens, 2 magical words that are a fundamental part of the tapestry of the city of Aiken. When I think of Hopelands, I think of 3 things: perseverance, relationships, collaboration. Roland Wyndham was Aiken's city manager from 1963 to 1991. During his tenure, the city acquired Hopelands Gardens. He epitomizes those 3 elements that I mentioned earlier, and today is memorialized permanently on the grounds with the Performing Arts Stage being named after him. Perseverance is the first element I would like to talk about. When the opportunity presented itself that the city could acquire this property, it wasn't a sure thing. It's hard to believe 50 years later that there was some concern of whether or not it would be a good investment for the city to take over the property from the estate. Actually, one of the concerns was that if the city took it over, it would become akin to Woodstock, according to city documents, the 3-day music festival that epitomized the countercultural American society of that day. However, Mr. Wyndham, along with other key figures, including Mayor Weeks, persevered, and the property was acquired by vote of the City Council in October 1970. And today, we are reaping the benefits of that wise decision. Community relationships are something else that was very important to the success of Hopelands Gardens. The city realized that taking on a task like this to present this as a public park was going to take a lot of effort from not just the city, but from a number of volunteers and other supporters. Folks like Joan Tower, for example, were instrumental in the development of things such as the Thoroughbred Racing Hall of Fame and Museum. Something that substantial, and then something simple but that is very important to the grounds are our ponds that are down near the Roland H. Wyndham Performing Arts Stage. When those ponds were initially constructed, we had a hard time keeping water in there. So due to good relationships that Mr. Wyndham had with other individuals, he was able to acquire clay from a local kaolin mine, which lined the bottom of the ponds and enabled the water to stay and give it the pond-like features. And today, those also serve an important purpose for stormwater retention. It's relationships like that, and with the garden club, that manicures and keeps the area around the dollhouse functional, that is another key element to the success of Hopelands Gardens from its very beginning to where we are today at its 50th anniversary. Did you know that initially the concerts were held on the south side of the Rye Patch, closer to Berry Road, before a stage was constructed? At that time, Mr. Wyndham worked with the then Recreation Director, Mike Facciola, who in turn enlisted the aid of some individuals such as Cecilia Reynolds to bring in performers for the public to enjoy free concerts. One of the things that we have done for many years is we haven't paid gratuities for the performances. On occasion, if performers travel long distances, we will pay for some travel costs. But that is one of the things that has been utilized here at the estate for many years, are these free concerts which people of all ages have enjoyed, and for many generations. You now have people who were children when the concerts begin bringing grandchildren, and that is one of the fondest memories a lot of people have of the grounds. Another very important relationship was Mr. Wyndham and Robert Marvin, the landscape architect who envisioned the beautiful landscaping here on the grounds. Mr. Wyndham had a relationship with Mr. Marvin that dates to a previous job and enlisted him to design the beautiful grounds that we have today. And associates of the late Mr. Marvin today are still involved and in an advisory role. As you can see, Hopelands Gardens was the vision of many people, and where it is today is on the shoulders of so many community volunteers, previous elected officials, and city staff. A wonderful place, and we look forward to more positive things over the next 50 years. Now, I thank the Friends of Hopelands and Rye Patch for this opportunity to reminisce and share some stories about the first 50 years. Now let me turn it back over to Friends of Hopelands and Rye Patch's president for this year, Anna Dangerfield. Anna?
The Friends continue their work. We have had 22 presidents over the 50 years, 17 men and 5 women to lead us. We operate with 40 trustees. 4 are trustees by virtue of office, and 36 are elected from the Friends membership. I'd like to take this time to thank 6 of the trustees who are leaving us this year. They are Peggy Dills, Charlotte Wiedemann, Rich Watson, Sandy Nicolaisen, Jim Stewart, and Pete Sampson. Thank you so much for your work and the interest that you showed in the Friends of Hopelands and Rye Patch. There's a link on this website that also shows you other trustees and city reports and others as well. What are our plans for the remainder of 2021? Well, we're finally going to write that book that has been requested for numerous years. We will talk about the history of Rye Patch and the history of Hopelands Gardens, and we will also talk about the families of the property owners. We have, right now on our Board of Trustees, we have a retired English professor, a publisher, writers, historians, and associates or family members of these owners. So we plan to reveal this book at our annual meeting in 2022, and of course all of the proceeds will go back to the Friends to complete our projects. We're also in the midst of holding an art show at the Aiken Center for the Arts, where more than 35 pieces are displayed to show the different aspects of the gardens. So please go down to the Art Center. It ends on April the 30th. Another activity that we will be doing is Celebration in the Gardens. In conjunction with the city, on a Saturday morning, May the 1st, we will hold activities for children and the adults who are accompanying them. In 2020, the Friends voted to forego our annual solicitation due to the economy, but we will hold one at the end of this year. Much to our delight, the Island Foundation provided a grant to us, which enabled us to fund the new brick walkway that has been installed and runs in front of the Roland H. Wyndham Performing Arts Theater. Thank you so very much to the Island Foundation. Thank you also to the City of Aiken for the wonderful partnership that we have held for 50 years. And thank you to the community of Aiken. Not only your donations make a huge difference, but when you act as a trustee, your input, your energy, your knowledge helped us to be so much better than we are. In closing, I would like to read to you what newly elected President James McNair said in 1971 at the very first meeting. He said to those in attendance, "As you go your various ways, we urge you to talk Hopelands, to your friends, to your neighbors, and to anyone who will listen." Those early leaders knew that we needed community support, and we know that we still do today. Happy 50th anniversary to the Friends of Hopelands and Rye.